Greetings from the Garden State is also sponsored by Albert & Whitney Certified Public Accountants in Denville, New Jersey. Are you spending your time tracking your business income and expenses or wasting hours on bookkeeping tasks that could be better spent doing what you do best? Wondering how to file your business payroll and sales tax and personal returns? Then it's probably time to consider giving Albert & Whitney a call. Albert & Whitney was formed in 2018 by two CPAs with over 50 years of combined experience. They can help you reach your business goals and meet your compliance with the ever-changing world of tax, payroll, and reporting requirements. Contact Albert & Whitney today for a no-obligation consultation at 908-217-3989 or go to awcpasllc.com. All right, what's up, everybody? This is another episode of Greetings from the Garden State. This is the most rustic we've been, that I've been maybe like ever. This is Mike Ham, host of Greetings from the Garden State. We are here at Stokes State Forest with Trevor Patterson. Trevor, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike, how are you? Great to be here.
Great to have you. So you're just so everyone knows right out of the gate, you're not like a park ranger. You don't work for the Parks Department. So we're buddies from the real estate world, like my real world.
That's correct. We wear suits to work every day.
Exactly.
Well, we're not wearing suits right now.
Right. We are definitely not wearing suits. Got some layers on for sure. So I know you come out here every now and then. I mean, you're a camper and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
And this is great. We got other guys here. I'm sure will pop in on the show as we kind of progress. But tell me about this place. Like, what's the allure of coming to a place like this and trying to get away from some stuff?
Absolutely. So this is it's part of the New Jersey Park System. We're at Stokes State Park. There are, I think, 3 campgrounds here, and each one has different levels of being rustic. We are in the least rustic of the areas right now, even though we got tents, we've got lean-tos, we've got a fire that we're keeping by to get to stay warm. But 100 yards away, there's a bathroom with lights and a water spigot, and a quarter mile away, there's a fully furnished facility if we needed it.
Right. Yeah.
So they make sure that we're able to enjoy being rustic, but at the same time, we're close enough to civilization that if something were to go wrong.
Yeah, right. Like if those 2 pounds of beans that we have really kind of kick in, you might need one of those flushable ones, but I think that might be a good idea.
That might be a little TMI.
It's my show. I'll do whatever I want. All right, so this is really, I told you before, this is my first time really camping ever, but I feel pretty good going with you, hearing from Dan and hearing from Brent, hearing from Brent. I went the opposite way there. But hearing from those guys, like you do this quite a bit. You got your bearings out here. So tell me a little bit of we're recording this in November. So what's the elements that we're going to have to deal with as we kind of progress here?
Well, so this is your first night out. Just this weekend, this is my second night. Last night, for comparison, the low was 24, 25 degrees. There was a chance of snow flurries. It was chilly.
Yeah.
So when you're coming out to something like this, you definitely want to make sure that, like you said before, you're layered up. When you got here, you said, if you felt comfortable coming out here with me for your first trip, the first thing that we did was a gear assessment.
Right.
We want to make sure that, it's going to be in the low 30s, upper 20s tonight. So I want to make sure that the sleeping bag that you have is going to be adequate. The coverage that you have, the shelter, whether it's a tent that you're using, or we've got 2 guys here that are doing tarp shelters tonight, to make sure that also is going to be adequate protection for you to deal with whatever weather we might have.
Yeah.
This is my first cold weather outing this year, but it's also my 3rd outing in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
Since it is November, it's just been getting cooler. But this is my first time this season using my hot tent, which I showed you when we first got here.
It was wild. I saw the video yesterday, and I didn't really fully grasp the visual of it. But then when I walked in there, it was wild. So explain that. I'm sorry.
No, sure. It's, so when you're out in the cold weather like this, obviously, goal number 1 is to stay as warm as you possibly can. I've been cold weather camping for about 20 years now, and getting older. Now I'm in my mid-40s. I have back issues. I have neck issues. And I also have 2 young daughters that love camping during the summer and the fall. But, daddy, we want to go out in the winter with you.
Yeah, right.
So I started learning about these hot tents, which is basically a tent with a silicone and fiberglass reinforced stove jack built into it.
Yeah.
And they make miniature wood-burning stoves.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
So last night it was 25 degrees outside, and I was taking off layers because it was about 75, 80 degrees inside the tent. As I was
that sounds pretty good right now, I'm not going to lie. Yeah. But I think like maybe some people that were listening to this, and when you brought this to our Facebook group, so when we started the Facebook group, even before we started the podcast, and we were laying out ideas of episodes, and you just posted in there. You're just like, hey, what about coming out to do like a camping trip in national parks? And I was like, okay. I was like kind of into it, and then they were like, "Look, we're going to do it in November." And I was like,
"I thought you weren't coming.
Are you sure?" At the beginning, I was just like, "I don't know if that's something that I want to do." And even leading up to this, I mentioned I picked up my tent and my sleeping bag from my girlfriend's parents' house, and the whole time they're just like, "You know, it's going to be pretty cold this weekend." But why? Like, what's the allure to something like this that maybe as opposed to camping in the summer or camping in the spring or when it's nicer out?
So cooler weather camping, in my opinion, is the best. Number one, there's less people out.
Yeah.
So you're, in general, going to expect to have a quieter experience, a more reclusive experience, which I appreciate when I'm out here. I don't know if it's coming through, but we can hear the water battling in the background. We're going to be hearing that all night.
Yeah.
And then, aside from the human side of it, there's no bugs.
That's
We're
true.
not worrying about mosquitoes.
Yeah.
We're not worrying about ticks. We don't have to worry about poison ivy.
Right.
So those are three big elements about summer camping that we're not dealing with here. Now, conversely, and this might be a little bit of a more serious or even morbid side of looking at it, but when temperatures drop into the 20s and 30s, you can die.
Yeah.
So the goal is, number one, don't die.
Yeah, that was my number one. I think the first text was that I sent to you when we decided that I was going to do it. I was just like, you just got to get me to the morning.
Don't die.
You know,
We'll
that's
make
number
sure
one
you're
rule for everyone listening at home. For your next camping trip, don't die.
Yeah. And as we're talking here now, I can see the breath coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, right.
The sun's starting to go down a little bit. It's getting cold.
Exactly.
But in all seriousness, no, it's be safe.
Right.
And then after being safe, now it becomes how comfortable can I make myself?
Yeah.
And as we're sitting here talking, there's a fire behind me. I can feel the heat from the fire on my back.
Right. I'm outside that bubble we were talking about.
Yeah. So if I move maybe a little bit, you'll
a little bit. I got a little bit. Yeah. Thank you. I set the mics up, so it's my fault. That's like a rookie move, I would guess.
You should have set us up so we were both having a side to the fire.
Exactly. Yeah.
But then like my left shoulder and your right shoulder would be warm.
Right.
And then the other side would be ice cold.
Yeah. It's wild. Yeah.
So
science, man. It's crazy.
But we had one experience with two people that aren't here right now, where we were camping. It was November, December. Temperatures were in the 20s, and after dark, one of the people that was with us decided to go for a hike.
Oh.
And he's like, "I'm bringing my flashlight. I'll bring my phone. Everything's good." Like an hour went by, and it's dark. It was probably 25, 30 degrees.
Yeah.
We were going to be going to bed in a couple hours.
Right.
And we started asking, where's such and such? Where's such and such? And it got to the point where we were getting ready to call the park rangers.
Yeah, right.
Because if you're going to spend the night out here in these temperatures, if you don't have the appropriate gear, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
And you might not wake up.
Right. Yeah. So what are some things that, because we said before, like I'm in a tent, Joe's in a tent, you're in like a super tent. But Brent and Dan got these like lean-to tarps, which are just like freaking me out. Like I was like, they're going to sleep outside. Like they're literally exposed, not exposed, but just like outdoors, but with a tarp just kind of leaned over
on top
them.
of you.
Yeah.
So the first time that they came out with me was about 2 years ago. And like you, and kudos, the hardest step is the first step of actually showing up.
Sure, right. Yeah, that's with anything, man.
Yeah.
You just got to show up. You never know what's going to happen when you show up.
You might like it.
Yeah.
And the first time they came out, we're like, we're going to go tarp camping in November.
Yeah.
And both of them were without hesitation. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Right.
And it was go buy a tarp. Make sure you have a sleeping bag. Make sure you have something to keep you up off the ground.
Yeah.
And bring enough firewood to have a fire all night. Now, when you think about camping and you say to somebody, I'm going to go tarp camping in the middle of the winter.
Yeah.
And they look at you like you have two heads.
Sure.
There's a different way of looking at it. Now, when you have when you have the tent, you're fully encapsulated.
Right.
When it's cold out, you're fully encapsulated in your own little ice box.
Yeah.
And you are fully dependent on your sleeping bag, your sleeping pad that's elevating you.
Yeah.
And when you have that tent, you're fully encapsulated in your own little ice box. And you are fully dependent on your sleeping bag, your sleeping pad that's elevating you. Yeah. And when you have that tent, you're fully dependent on your sleeping bag, your sleeping pad that's elevating you.
Yeah.
and that's your only source of protection from the cold. When you do what Brent and Dan are doing right now with these tarps, you can do something with the tarp shelter that you can't do with the tent.
Right.
And that's have a fire right in front of you.
Okay.
So they're both going to have fires in front of them all night. And you basically end up using your face as the judge of when it's time to wake up.
Right.
You know, we eat a lot tonight.
Yep.
We're going to be drinking a lot of water, a lot of juice, a lot of seltzer, and that keeps your metabolism going.
Yeah.
But the metabolism going keeps you warm, but also because of the amount of fluid that we're going to be drinking, you
Right.
get up frequently to pee.
Yeah. Exactly.
So if you get up to pee, well, you get up, you take a couple steps, you pee, you come back, you throw a couple more logs on the fire, and you're good for the next 2 hours or so.
Right.
The fire is also within arm's length. You can wake up, roll over, throw a log or two on the fire, roll back over again, and you're back in your little heat bubble with the fire in front of you.
Very cool. Very cool. And so what's been like we'll say extreme, like what's been the most extreme temperatures that you've camped in your experiences?
That would be last January. And it wasn't just the cold, it was the wind.
Okay.
Compounded with the cold.
Yeah.
It was 3 degrees, according to the news, according to the Weather Channel website.
Yeah.
With a wind chill of -10. I didn't look at my thermometer, so I'm just going to take that for granted.
Sure, yeah.
But the killer part of it was there were 25-mile-an-hour winds blowing.
Right.
And I did a lean-to shelter that night. My shelter got ripped apart by the wind. It was the single harshest night I've ever had. I'll show you one of the videos of it later.
Okay.
I've got the one of I'm waking up at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, while the wind is blowing. You can hear it in the microphone on my camera phone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's midnight. It's freezing. The wind is blowing. I'm right next to the water.
Yeah.
This is horrible.
Right.
And the next night, I'm talking about the previous night, and I'm like, yeah, this is night number 2. It's not as bad. Last night was horrible. I froze.
Yeah.
But it's all a challenge.
Exactly. Right.
The more things suck,
yeah,
the more you learn about yourself.
Right.
You know, how am I going to get up and overcome this? Am I going to fix the damage that's done to my shelter? Am I going to give up?
Yeah.
And just try to make it through in 0-degree temperatures with a 20-degree bag?
Right.
Or am I going to figure out a way to reinforce my fire to get more heat that's going to surround me?
Yeah.
So it's serious.
Right.
But you're getting that level of challenge and ultimately pleasure from a success.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, speaking of the risk and the dangers that can be involved, one thing that I consider to be paramount rules of winter camping is if you're going to go by yourself, make sure you're experienced. It's kind of common sense.
Right.
But also tell 1 or 2 people where you are
Yeah.
and when you expect to be home.
Right.
And if 4, 6, 8 hours go by and you're not home yet, they should be checking in on you.
Yeah.
And like what we're doing right now, we've got 5 guys out here.
Right.
Should something happen, where somebody ends up having a rough situation,
you got a little backup,
you can always
little
rely.
buddy system.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I've got a wood stove in my tent.
Right.
Worst case scenario, somebody comes in, and within 15 to 20 minutes, I'll be able to have the inside of that tent between 70 and 90 degrees.
That's crazy. That thing's wild. Yeah, we'll have to put like a picture up of it so that people can actually see like what it is that we're talking about. So tell me where else in New Jersey you've been camping? Maybe not even cold weather camping, just some of your favorite spots that people can go to themselves.
Well, I year round, with the exception of winter, because there's only a handful of parks that do offer camping in the winter.
Yeah.
But because
that's pretty extreme.
Yes.
Yeah. That sounds.
But from April-ish to October, early November, most of the state parks are open.
Okay.
And a lot of them do have campgrounds. So I've been through most of the state parks.
Yep.
I'm not a big fan of the family campgrounds.
Right.
Some have swimming pools.
Yeah.
I mean,
it takes away from this what we're doing right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it could be 10 o'clock at night, and there's people still out running around and playing and screaming. And they allow alcohol there. And people could be drinking and being obnoxious. And
sure.
You can't.
Right.
Yeah. They try to have rules, but they don't really enforce them.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I've done 3 states on the Appalachian Trail.
Okay. Stokes is part of the Appalachian Trail too, right?
It is. There's actually about a half a mile from us, if not less.
It's like a 17-mile stretch, right, or something?
Yeah, well, there's actually 2 campsites that the trail goes like right next to.
Oh, okay.
And it's not uncommon, like where we've got this the water fountain, the water spring right here. It's not uncommon to have campers stroll through here, fill up water bottles and such, and then continue on their way.
Exactly.
And 3 weeks ago, I was at the campsite 100 yards away.
Yeah.
And a month before that, I was 100 yards from that one.
Right.
So it's this section of the park is my favorite because mainly of the flowing river.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's very cool, picturesque, I would say.
Yes.
All right, so we take breaks on this show. So let's take our first break.
Okay.
We'll reset. We'll do our Today in New Jersey History in that segment. We'll bring in a couple more guests, and we'll kind of go through their experiences as well.
Sounds good. Let's put on a couple layers, too. It's starting to get chilly.
I know. Like that wind right there, that's just like got me.
Yep,
but
me
everybody
too.
listening, greetings from the Garden State Podcast. I'm Mike Ham. We'll be right back. It is time for Today in New Jersey History. On December 27th, 1889, Madison, New Jersey was incorporated. It was originally settled in 1710 and was originally called Bottle Hill. And that is Today in New Jersey History. All right, we're back. I'm Mike Ham. This is the Greetings from the Garden State Podcast. We are here in the middle of nowhere, Stokes State Park, Stokes State Forest. So we got Trevor Patterson back here with us, and we also have a new friend that's out here, part of our group, Dan Grant. Dan, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you can speak into the mic. It's okay. Yeah.
Oh, I guess I can speak into the mic. Okay.
But yeah, so Dan, you've come on maybe half a dozen, I would say, camping trips with Trevor, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, the first time, let's go through your first time since this is my first time. So was it a interesting experience for you?
It was definitely interesting. I mean, I think when I was at home, I'm like starting to lie down all these different materials, and I'm like, do I really want to do this? None of these include a tent. And well, I came anyway.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And so I got there, and we set up, and I'm just told a list of materials to bring, right? Again, none of these resemble a shelter.
Right,
You have a tarp. You're sent a list from Trevor here. Tarp, rope, sleeping bag, cushion.
I love how you have to look back at your thing to make sure you get all this stuff.
I think I brought it all this time.
Yeah, well, let's hope
we'll
so.
see.
This time, in addition to a rope, you brought a ratchet strap.
I think
Yeah.
I brought the ratchet strap before, too. Maybe.
You might have. No, yeah, you got a solid-looking shelter there. It's impressive.
So now we set up, and of course, again, the whole time you're sitting there, and it was actually one of the first times, like, outside of our professional life that we sort of hung out.
Right.
And so you're sitting there, and you're like, damn, I just met this guy. I really hope I don't die.
You have no idea, really. You don't know what we're like beyond our professional lives. And Dan's also in our professional lives, just in case anybody missed that. So keep going.
And so end up having a great time, and we sat by the fire. I'll tell you, it's an amazing experience when you can come out and just be in nature and escape. And so then we go to bed and wake up, and I will tell you, every single time I now go normal camping, I wish I was winter camping.
Really? Okay.
And, I mean, between there not being bugs, between the ability that when you come out here, it's, you're actually being sustainably kept warm by the fire. It's not just like, oh, there's a fire. Oh, we'll cook on that.
Right.
It's like the actual source of heat that's keeping you alive. And then you take the fire later at night and you pick up some of the fire, and you bring it over to your own shelter fire. So basically, the first time I went, I took an 8x10 tarp. Actually, it was 2 because one to block the wind. And you create a shelter, and you put a little fire next to it, and it sort of looks like a lean-to.
Yeah.
And I have to say, the first night it was like, you stare up, you're looking at the stars, perfect as day, and you have the beautiful fire keeping you at probably an ambient like 68 degrees between that and the sleeping bag.
Right.
And it's awesome.
Yeah.
You wake up the next morning and you just take a deep breath and you're like, wow, this is what life is about.
Yeah, no, it's very cool. So, how was Dan on his first go around? Were you when you first asked him, just like when you first asked me, you thought I was going to say no? Did you think Dan was going to say no?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I said an immediate yes.
We had just met through business, and the enthusiasm of his acceptance was almost seemed fake.
Yeah.
And I'm like, tomorrow, the day after, I'm gonna get the hey, I can't do this. Hey, I can't do that. I got a meeting. I've got a meeting coming up.
Yeah.
Any excuse to not show up. I have to wash my hair. I have to shave. Two things that Dan doesn't do much of.
It's okay. It's all right.
But no, he came. He was very enthusiastic about the entire experience, and through the first night, through Dan and Brent also, one precaution that I took, again, I feel like I've got them under my wing for the first few trips. I put firewood in between them and the fire pit.
Yeah.
So that just in case you roll over at night, I'm an active sleeper. I don't know who else is.
Right.
But
Very
make
active.
sure you don't roll over in the middle of the night and roll into a fire.
Yeah. Right. When you talk about the dangers, that would
Yes.
definitely be one of the dangers.
I still do that today.
Right, and that would definitely break.
still
Could
put
break rule number 1 that we just laid out. Don't die.
Don't die.
That's that's
Well,
key.
I think it was also when we were sitting by the fire that night, and the words he utters is, "I almost lit myself on fire once," and you're like,
Yeah.
maybe I should build a wall.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's good. I mean, learn from. It's like the 10,000 hours Malcolm Gladwell thing. Like, to be an expert, you got to put in 10,000 hours. So then you just leverage other people's experiences, and it keeps you safe.
Yeah.
So
100%.
100%. That's like real deep right there. We just went deep. So, all right. So, have you done other trips beyond your trips with Trevor? Have you?
Yeah, actually, so it's kind of cool. Actually, when Trevor and I first met, I had always been looking for people to go camping with, or an excuse to go camping, and I honestly had only been once prior to ever even going winter camping. And so, and that one time I literally packed my car, and I had a car at the time. Now I drive an SUV, thankfully. But I'm pretty sure I filled the entire car to the brim because I didn't know how to pack in one contained bag. So I came with like
A lot of
literally
materials.
25 bags.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I now come with one pack and
Right.
have everything
Yeah.
in it.
That just seems more efficient.
Yeah, you learn as you go.
Yeah.
You learn as you go.
My car was pretty filled up with just like random stuff. I was like, I'll bring that.
Yeah, and now probably like 10 or 15 times in at this point, now I have an SUV, and it's like I have everything laid out and perfectly ready for like the experience.
Yes.
Well, I think the one thing, and Mike, if this does end up impacting you enough to the point where you want to do this more.
Yeah.
When Dan, for his first number of trips, just came out with myself and some other people who are relatively experienced. Other people would say I'm a complete rookie.
Right.
It's all relative.
Yeah.
But Dan then decided to take his wife out camping for the first time, just the two of them.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I think you had gone camping
By myself.
without the group. Yeah.
Yeah, so what I did was, it was cool because I was finally, well, the first thing is like 2 days later, I give a phone call to Trevor and I go, "Damn, you guys bring a lot of stuff." I then proceeded to buy a new car.
Yeah.
Because,
For camping.
I realized
Yeah.
that I needed so much more stuff to go on my own. Mind you, whenever we traveled, you have somebody showing up with a pickup truck.
Right.
And you're like, nah, you don't need too much to camp.
Yeah. It's
But-
all relative. Yeah.
Yeah, so I brought my wife for the first time, and then I just started making it a usual thing. I mean, I think a lot of what was the catalyst that really brought camping to be such a great experience was actually COVID too. I mean, I think when we were, the only place you had to escape to was out into the woods, right?
Exactly,
You're
right.
trapped in your house.
Yeah.
And
or walking
so-
like a circle around my block and just make myself insane.
Yeah, so we made an executive decision. We had been seeing each other early on during COVID, and we decided, you know what, let's go out camping. And so we started doing that like every other month.
Yeah.
And
in the beginning of COVID, though, with New Jersey, the state parks were closed.
Right.
Luckily.
So, we were not able to come here to Stokes or any of the other state parks. So we ended up utilizing private land.
Yeah.
You call a friend that's got a few acres that backs up to some state land or just to other private land.
Yeah.
Just to get the ability to get a change of scenery, get out into the woods.
Right.
And whether you're 5 miles away or 50 miles away.
Yeah.
We call it Campfire Therapy for a reason.
Right, exactly.
It really is an opportunity to clear your head, focus on other stuff.
Yeah.
And just enjoy it.
Awesome. Love it.
It's going to be quiet tonight. We're not going to hear crickets chirping and cicadas. And
I think we're going to have some stars.
That'd be cool. Take my sunglasses off at some point. But awesome. All right, so we're going to end this segment. So, Dan, thank you for jumping on with us today. Happy to be out here with you because I haven't seen you in a while either.
Yeah,
I see you randomly in Morristown one time and then...
Great way to get reconnected.
Exactly. Right. Campfire Therapy. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, second break of the show. This is the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Ham. We'll be right back. It is time for your New Jersey fun fact of the day. Did you know that saltwater taffy's origins can be traced back to Atlantic City in 1883? And that is your New Jersey fun fact of the day. All right, we're back. This is the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Ham. We're here in Stokes State Park. So you know the drill so far. So we had Trevor on at the beginning. He's still here with us, making sure, keeping us safe, checking out the fire, eating, doing all his drinking the juice and whatever. And Joey Beiruti is also joining us. So you were me last night. So that last night was your first time. Tonight's my first time. And you came with, did you know Trevor beforehand?
I did know Trevor beforehand.
Okay, good.
He's cooked
All
for me many times before.
All right, awesome. All right, so it wasn't like just walking into the woods with a stranger and be like, Stokes State Park, see you out there.
He dropped the pin. I knew exactly where to find him.
Yeah, that's like the perfect crime.
He set me up, I swear. It wasn't me.
Yeah, but, all right, so how was that experience?
You ever heard Left Out in the Cold?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me tell you, I did not understand what 24 degrees meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, it might rain. And I was like, interesting. Let me just erect the tent in the wrong way. And, I'm thinking it's a shelter, but not when I do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
right. Yeah.
Left
Exactly.
Out in the Cold. Sums it up.
Well, that was great because when I drove in here, the two of you guys jumped on my car like spider monkeys, and we're just like, "Where's your tent? Let's check it out. Let's get it up. Let's how big is it?" And I was like, "I don't know. I've never actually opened it up." So, but then you guys basically set it up for me. So that was like one less thing that I have to do. So camping's great. Like you don't have to do any hard work.
Yeah. we were actually waiting to pull that switch valet thing where you're so preoccupied with people putting together. Someone else jumps out of the woods,
right,
and just drives away in your car, and you're over there like, "Wow, I have a new tent. Where'd my keys were in there?"
Yeah, right. Yeah, I love it. So, what was like? Did it take much convincing for you to come out with us?
No, not even close. I know Brent aggressively from work, and then Trevor. I've heard many of his stories from any cookouts that he had thrown and any kind of networking events I'd seen him at.
Yeah.
So it was almost like, these guys seem safe.
Yeah, it's good.
If he could raise 2 daughters, he could get me through 2 nights in the woods. Yeah. So I figured, let me go out there. I'll have I called it a perspective enhancing trip.
Yeah. No, I love that. Yeah. And it seems to be kind of like a running theme through some of this is just like, this is the experience of just kind of like shutting things off, even though I have mics on and we're probably like bugging the hell out of everybody else.
And just for the experience and the perspective, Mike, as I'm looking at you, I see a snap-up layer on the outside, a hoodie underneath that, a flannel underneath that, another hoodie underneath that.
I got a long sleeve shirt.
And a long sleeve shirt underneath that. Joe's here with a hood up, a winter hat underneath it, a gigantic scarf wrapped around his
Is that an infinity scarf?
It is not, but I wish it was.
And a full-body monkey Carhartt suit.
I'm also here for the oil changes. You're up. Car number's 3. You're up.
Car 3, bay 2. So we're not. Is that the experience thing? Like, you're talking just about like me experiencing the cold. Yeah, not like being experienced because I have a snap-up jacket on, which I would imagine it's not great.
Understanding like what Joe said. What does 24 degrees feel like?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well,
right.
This is what 24 degrees ends up feeling like.
Yeah.
How many possible layers can you make yourself look like the Michelin Man?
I got a couple more, a lot more than a couple more. It was just like I'm just going to take as many warm clothes as I have. I don't know how cold I'm going to be.
Oh, you're lucky. I thought I was prepping for this. My furnace blew out a couple weeks back.
Perfect.
And I was like, well, I'm going into the woods. 55 degrees inside doesn't sound so bad.
Right. So you kind of just like toned it down over time. Got the core temperature down.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I mean, I used my refrigerator as like a heat source pretty much,
right.
And that's how cold it got inside.
Yeah.
We had a cold spell a couple weeks back. It was a killer.
Yeah. So if you could pick maybe like, you get here, you're doing your thing, and you're kind of getting that experience. So what was maybe the best experience that you had from your first night? Just because then maybe I can try to have like a really good experience.
We love the moon.
Yeah.
This is the first real full harvest moon that we're going to get this year, and it's going for the next 4 nights. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
And reflecting off the water was really epic. We're right by this, beautiful scenic river, if you will, and we had to take turns, fangirling the moon with our phones.
Yeah,
saying,
right.
Like, who could get a better picture?
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, you were sending the pictures, and I was jealous. I was like, that seems like it would be something that would have been cool to see, for sure.
Absolutely.
So, you just finished one night. You got the second night coming up. Do you see this being a thing that you try to do more of moving forward?
Definitely more camping. I am a outdoors enthusiast, but I don't get out enough.
Like the idea of the outdoors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love the idea of the outdoors. I see conservationists. I'm like, yeah, I love that.
Fair weather fan.
Go
right,
you.
Right.
I'll put $1 in that can. It definitely not in the cold.
Yeah.
I'm typically like, I love 90-degree weather. That's me. I have another layer to put on underneath this Carhartt for when I go to bed tonight, because
Nice.
I've learned from last night. And I got the rain fly worked out.
Yeah.
So,
there you go.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
breeze going through your tent tonight.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. That was good, because you said fly, and I was like, I don't even know what that is, but you put that on mine.
The fly is the extra cover. That's the red cover on your tent over there.
Yeah.
That should there be frost or rain,
Right.
it doesn't get on you.
Love that. Yeah.
It's slightly
That's
important.
clutch. Yeah, I don't want to get wet.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we're going to take our last break of this episode. So this is the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Cam. Joey, thank you for jumping on with us.
Thanks, yeah,
And I hope you
appreciate it.
enjoy your second night. And I hope I enjoy my first one as much as you enjoyed your first one. So thank you.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back. Okay, we're back for our last segment here in Stoke State Forest. I'm Mike Ham. This is the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. Now we're joined by our last fellow camper of this group, but not least, for sure, Brent Koslowski. So, Brent, you're obviously another guy that we know through our professional lives. So, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, Mike. So, right now we're hitting about probably 35, 40 degrees. A little chilly. We got the fire going, just hanging out and chilling.
Yeah. No, I love it. Yeah. So, when you first came, was Trevor, camping with Trevor, was that your first camping experience or no?
Not my first, no.
No.
I grew up camping. I grew up in Pittsburgh, actually. So,
Okay.
growing up, camping time to time with family, but not at the level that I've done it with Trevor at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah.
So I, about 4 or 5 years ago, had met Trevor, and unique character through and through. He's got so many different just things that he does. It's so fascinating. And then he's talking about survival camp, and he's like, you should come sometime. It took him 2 years. Actually, it took Dan getting involved, and just like Dan's just very proactive. Like, come on, man, we should go out with him.
Yeah.
So I go out for the first time 2 years ago, and I was like, why don't I do this more often?
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing? Like, you literally come out here, have a few drinks with friends, talking, nothing serious,
Of
no
juice.
stress. What's that?
Of juice.
Of juice?
Yeah. Not. You said have a couple drinks with your friends out.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
juice.
of juice.
Of course.
Yeah.
A few drinks of juice. And then, you just hang out, and you're just worried about getting through the night, getting to the morning. You clear your mind, no anxieties,
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it centers you and just pushes you forward for, next month or two until you want to go back out.
Right. So you live in West Milford, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you basically live in the woods and then come back further out into the woods to get the escape, right?
Well, that was a part of my initial argument with doing it. I was like, I pretty much live there already.
Yeah, right.
But once you go out here and you're like, okay, I don't have a house around me. There's no working bathroom. I need my food, my fridge, everything else going on.
Right.
And I just, easily walk through the house. And I'm like, I have a lean-to tent that is a tarp over
Yeah.
a tarp, few layers of padding.
Yeah,
and then-
we've done the description of the
Okay.
lean-to.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. I
so
didn't know if we
think-
got there
No,
already.
it's okay. I don't mean to cut you off, but we've got the description of the tarp lean-to.
Thank you.
Pretty much
I
down pat.
didn't really know where to go from there, to be honest with you.
We lost him halfway through that answer.
So basically, you're out here and you have a bare minimum, and it is something you fall in love with.
Yeah.
So
So
I go time and time again.
Was your first outing with Trevor with this lean-to? Was that was your first time out? Was in the lean-to, or did you do me with the tent?
No, I did the first time out with the lean-to.
Okay.
You know, they actually pretty much put it up for me. I stood there and went, okay.
Right.
Like, what?
Like I watched them put my tent up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like glamping.
And they take care of you. I mean, the food that they make here. I mean, Trevor, my God. Steaks.
Chef's kiss.
The chili. Oh, my God, the chili.
Epic stories from
Epic
the chili.
stories
Yeah.
that we can't talk about.
Right. Yeah. We'll save that one. So then you doing this and doing this more, and we talked about like work and all that kind of stuff. So like, maybe if you could pick like an experience that just kind of stood out for you, because that's what we kind of became the theme of this episode over the course of this episode. Like one of your best experiences and why you keep coming back. You know, because that's ultimately the goal, right? Not just come once. You want to come more than once.
Great question.
Yeah.
The first time I came out, actually, it was during a stressful time in my life. I won't go into detail about it, but like I was just in a world that Trevor knew about, Dan knew about, a few other people knew about. So the first time out, where we all just hung out, and the fact that they just came and they helped me get like everything together, it really helped solidify my friendship with these guys. Like it's a brotherhood at this point.
Right.
You know, they were taking care of me, and I was like, oh my God, these guys are setting up a home for me tonight, like food and everything else. Like, it's amazing. I want to contribute to this. I want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And then it just spurred off from there. So that initial moment where you recognize you have not just friends, brothers, that was amazing.
Right. So I'm going to give you like another good question because I just thought of it. And Dan, you're standing back there, so if you want to jump in on this one
Chime in,
at any
guys.
point, you can. You can sit next to me.
Get close.
So as like we're doing this, and you know, you guys have this professional relationship and a now regular relationship. So talk to me about the importance of that. You know, affecting both. You know, because it's not just like, hey, we see each other at a networking event and then we leave. Well, I guess I do with you guys, but now this is different. But you guys have been doing this for a couple of years now, so describe like that relationship and what that's kind of meant over the last couple of years. If Trevor, you want to take that, or if you guys want to take that,
Trevor,
or if everybody wants to jump in.
I'll go. There's a special type of person that it takes to kind of take a leap of faith and go out into the middle of nowhere with people that you've just met. Going from a business relationship to a personal relationship is a step that you have to take carefully. You know, we're in business to make money. We have, whether it's ourselves, a family, or other people in our lives that we're taking care of. But outside of the monetary aspect of it are the personal relationships. We're, you know, Mike, Dan, Brent. I mean, we're all in sales, and we met through networking from a business aspect. And to have the comfort and confidence in somebody to be able to take that relationship from professional into personal, and learn about people's vices and demons, and we call this Campfire Therapy for a reason. I mean, I remember very vividly the first time that we were out, and we were here at Stokes, sitting around a fire, and I think Dan was recently engaged. And I told a very emotional story about how my wife has the wedding ring that my great-grandmother bought for my grandfather while he was in the South Pacific in World War II.
Wow.
Because he didn't think he was going to make it home.
Yeah.
And we're out on our first personal basis, and I'm sobbing telling this emotional story. And it just, we call it Campfire Therapy for a reason. It brings certain emotions out. There's certain safeties and comforts that you feel when you're in a compromised situation weather-wise, and you're putting this trust into people that are around you. It's a very, very tight bond that then goes throughout business into personal, and hopefully it's a positive relationship that can span the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly. Brent, you want to take it next, or Dan?
What he said, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was a great answer.
I was just gonna. I mean, to sum it up, it's brotherhood. I mean, it's like, I guess you can most closely assimilate it to like dogs, right? Where
You're gonna have to explain that one.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
let's unpack that a little bit.
You got to go a little further there, buddy.
Here.
Now we're putting you on the spot. It's time.
No, I mean, so you have like, dogs have always evolved to like a pack mentality, right? Where it's like the packs travel together, and it's like you become this band of not just you surviving in the world, but you and a team surviving in the world.
We're forming our own pack.
Yeah. And just like dogs, they travel and lay and are better in packs.
The wolf pack.
Wolf pack.
Yeah, that was a good way. You put a bow on that. Nice. We were going off the rails a little bit, but yeah, I was happy you got it back on track.
Tie that one clean.
Tied it clean. All right,
Bringing it home.
Yeah, so this has been. So I was interested to kind of see because, like I said, Trevor put this idea in our Facebook group. So if you don't already are a part of our Facebook group, you probably should be. Greetings from the Garden State Facebook group. And he was like, "Hey, let's do a interview in the woods." And I was like, "Okay." Didn't really know what that meant. And then I said it was earlier. It was you guys said November, and I was like, "You guys know it's cold in November." But we made it. So we got it all set up. We're here camping. Take it.
Thank you for having faith.
Oh, yeah. You got to have the faith.
My hands are cold. Hold me.
We'll see if he's still alive tomorrow.
That's the number one rule, Dan. That's the number one rule. This could be like a really bad cold take, like right after this one. But all right, so this has been the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Ham. We were here at Stokes State Forest with Trevor Patterson, Brent Koslowski, Dan Grant, and Joey Bayrudy. You almost got me. You almost got me, but I'm a pro. So this has been us in Stokes State Forest. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you next week.